Welcome to this Q&A session for the film Idomeni, which is part of the 31st edition of Nordisk Panorama Film Festival. This film is not only nominated for Best Nordic Documentary, it also has a chance to win the Audience Award. So please do not forget to vote online after this session. My name is Elin Kamlert and I will be the host of this Q&A. And I have the great pleasure of talking to David Aronowitsch, who is the director of Idomeni. Welcome, David. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you, Elin?
Good, thanks. Thank you so much for sharing your film with us. It's very, very moving. And thank you so much for just sharing it with the Nordisk Panorama audience here today. I'm curious about, can you tell us what first brought you to Idomeni and when that was?
It's a long story, of course, so
okay.
I try to make it short. But we were actually screening a film in Kosovo in a festival there, in DocuFest in Kosovo, the summer 2015. It was a film we made together. I made it with Ahmed Abdullahi, Sharmarke bin Yusuf and Anna Persson, and it is called I Am Dublin. And we were there, and I knew that a lot of things were happening in Macedonia at the same time. The borders, this was in August 2015, and the borders, Macedonia had opened its borders with people fleeing in around April 2015, after a horrible accident when a train, because many people were getting over illegally, and it was a train accident where I think it was like 12 persons were driven over by a train in the night and killed. And after that, they opened the border. And that was like a state of, that was until March 2016. But it closed again, like they were building this huge border fence along the border between Greece and Macedonia. North Macedonia, it's called now.
Yeah.
So from DocuFest in Kosovo, we went down to Macedonia and to the border to Greece. And at that time, a lot of people were coming over. It was really chaotic, and it was really it marked us somehow. But now I can see it was sort of a positive time anyway, because the borders were open. So people, even if it was chaotic, very chaotic, people came through and they could go further. Even it was really hard. People walked, they took the train, and in every way they could get further, they did. But it made we were so affected by it, so we wanted to go back. It took, though, like half a year to come back, to get some support to go back and to film and so on. So when we came back, the border was totally closed. And then it was this new razor wire border. This film is just evolved somehow. It's not like a conceptual film. The film we showed in the Kosovo DocuFest, that was very conceptual, and it was also about oppression and how systems of oppression of migrants in Europe. It was about the Dublin regulation. This film evolved not conceptually, but more, we had some ideas when we went there. We wanted to film in the night. Actually, we were thinking about making a film about the place, Idomeni, or the border situation. But just after a few days, we met actually Nasar, the one son in the family of Nadia Navaf, and then we met Nadia, and then we met the other siblings, and we met Navaf, the father in the family. And it was quite natural. They lived just by this new razor wire border, and just on the other side, the Macedonian border police, the military were constantly watching the border.
Yeah, and did you already? Can I ask? Did you already have an interpreter then, so you could talk to them, or how did you sort of meet them, the families? How did the meetings come about?
we just, I don't know how we communicated. I don't really remember. We just tried to say some words, and as I didn't speak English, and Nadia and Nawaf didn't speak English either, and then after a day or two we met Amina. She was there with also in the same under the same circumstances as Nadia and Nawaf, fleeing, but she was from Syria. She's Kurdish from Syria, and she was there with her mother and her 4 siblings. And she spoke English very well, and she was a very open person, and she immediately, started to work together, sort of, and she worked as a translator, but she became so much more. She became so important for the film, and the link between the families and us. And then, after a few days, Nawaf, the father in the family, asked if we wanted to meet a man whose wife still is in the captivity, in ISIS captivity. He said, yes, we want to meet him. And then that was Yasser. And Yasser, they didn't really know each other either. So what happens in an early scene in the film is like Nawaf is asking Yasser about his family and what happened to him, and about his wife, and about his killed little son and his other son that survived. And so it becomes almost like Nawaf interview Yasser. But that was their real first meeting. So it was also that they got to know each other, which was a really important part of the film also. When we came home with that material from March 2016, it took a while before I got everything translated, and then I understood so much more. I understood so much more what especially Yasser had been through, and his family, and all his relatives, his larger family, also extended family, had been so attacked and affected, and so many were killed in his family by ISIS. This happened, the attack of the Yazidis in Iraq by ISIS was 2014. But it's sort of still an ongoing genocide in the sense that so many women and children are still in captivity or just gone, lost. People don't know where they are. Are they killed? Do they still live? They're split up, kids from their mothers, and it's sort of an ongoing situation, even if ISIS has been decimated so much.
Yeah. So another thing that one thing I really like about the film is that you made this focus on these 2 families when you had the material translated and you knew more, and you focused not at all on like the authorities or the structures around the camp or anything like that, but people living not about people on the outside, I mean, but people in the camp and your families. And I feel that is a great strength of the film, but I'm also a bit curious about what was your reasoning behind that, and how did you arrive at that? Did you know that from the beginning?
No, we didn't know. We were more into doing about the place in the film, and then about the place and the situation at the border, and then it would have been much more about the system or the lack of system and how it would. But I don't know. It sort of evolved, and it's so. I think one reason is that I made it before in other films, trying to explain a system that is oppressive and very hard for the people who are oppressed to understand it. And also to make other people understand it, a system that is almost impossible to understand because rules are made up along the way. It's so political. The system of controlling migrants are so political that rules are just made up along the way and changed and everything, and in different languages. So it's really, really hard for anyone to understand anything about it. And then when you make a film, and I had a little bit of a, conflict with that in the film I Am Dublin, because we tried to make this impenetrable system to understand that system. You have to sort of make it a little bit understandable to make the film, because the mission you give to yourself is to in that film was like to understand the system, and then you sort of explain it and makes a little bit it, and it's so I had a conflict with that. I didn't want to make a system explainable, or so that was one reason I didn't want to make the same film again. But on the other hand, it was also we were so captured by the personalities of the children in the families and the adults, and we became so close to them. So it was like was not room for also telling the stories of the system, because there are so many weird things in how EU works and how the deal with Turkey, one example that is so sick is that the Nawaf and Nadia and their children, they were fortunate that they had a ride in between a certain dates. So they were eligible to apply to become part of the EU translocation program. And so that's just one thing that is strange, that if you're able to apply for that, it decides when you come, the dates, not your reasons for your being a refugee or your reasons for fleeing. That's nothing to do with you fleeing that they fled the genocide. It has to do that they came in between certain dates. But also, to be eligible to apply for that, they have to give up their refugee status.
Okay.
Because what they get in Germany in this case is subsidiary protection.
Okay.
Which is another thing. and then you get like 1 year or 2 years, and you have to apply again to get. It's the same system in Sweden almost nowadays. Which means, how can you give up something? Either you are a refugee according to the Geneva Convention, or you're not. I mean, it's not even that the person. How can you give it up? So that's one. Just a few things that were so weird and strange, but. It was not room in the film to explain or go into that. I think we would have lost something like the human side of the story, sort of, if we would have gone into that.
No, but you understand from the film and what's going on, and the chapters and how it's been made, basically, that it is a very complex process. And I don't miss the explanations. I just get the feeling of being in this constant transit status in a way that feels horrible. But as I understand it now, this camp in Idomeni has been closed, right? But how has that affected the relocation process? Is it better? Is it worse? Or
no, but that relocation program ended.
Okay.
It ended because it was like, now I don't remember exactly the number of. Maybe between 30 and 50,000 people that were really relocated from Greece to other European countries. Italy was also part of that program, but that program ended in I'm not sure exactly when, 2017, or when the people that were eligible for that to apply for that program, when they were relocated. After that, it ended. So it's not happening anymore. That was just a window. For those.
I don't know I want to ask you how you feel, but I also feel like there was a window when we heard a lot more about these camps and the situations in the camps in the news or in the media in general. It feels like we hear less and less about them now. It's not getting the attention it should get. Do you agree, or what do you think about this?
Yeah, of course. But it's also, I think that it's also, you always think it's the worst. Like now it can't be worse than this. And then it just gets worse. Okay. So in a way, I thought that Greece was so bad when I went there first. And then it was even worse. And then still, as I said, people could get through, like during the last part of 2015, people could get through the Balkan, what was called the Balkan route, and so on. So, and then it was closed, but then still it was like the two families we made, or the one family that was part of the relocation program. Okay, they still could apply. They could be relocated. It took a long time, but in hindsight, you could say it didn't take so long time anyway. So I mean, they were relocated in like 1.5 years, 1 year. I know. So yeah, it was, and now it's even worse. So I mean, because now those possibilities aren't there anymore. So and the Balkan route is closed in every of the Balkan countries, and I mean, and maybe the worst is the attitude towards people fleeing, that they are treated, migrants and refugees, and they are treated so horrible everywhere. Sort of the solidarity of 2015, 16, maybe is sort of gone, I feel. And that is sort of both in, I mean, that's among ordinary people. Of course, many people are really engaged, of course, but still, and they keep on doing that, and they are fantastic. But I mean, in the general talk in the media, among people in social media, etc., it's really, really hard and heartless. Maybe that's even worse than all that, because that makes it really hard. To change laws or to go the direction everything goes to now, it's really bad.
It is. I have to touch upon one thing that was so strong in the film. Quite early in the film, and I'm guessing quite early also in the process of making the film, this terrible, horrifying accident happens, the drowning. I think it's so strong and beautiful to see how the children talk to each other about it and sort of take care of each other, and the children's and their parents' relationship is some sort of positive aspect in it all. But I'm also wondering, what was the reaction from the surrounding society, or did these families get any help whatsoever in sort of dealing with this trauma or
I mean, I don't know everything, because I mean, so I of course I can't know exactly what the help they got in the camp. It was called Petra camp, the camp they were in then, and that was on the slopes of the Olympic mountain. So it was like, it was a strange place also, because it was so beautiful and it's like the heart of the European mythology, sort of, and there it happened there. And no, they didn't get any help. It was like, even we came the day when we came the afternoon when it happened, and the day after we met, it's like, I think he was the boss for the local social department, or like the social, what do you say, authorities there. His assistant said to us, "Oh, you shouldn't talk about this. You shouldn't. Please don't put up anything about it on. You shouldn't talk about the accident." They didn't want to show bad things, and that was like the Greek authorities. Like didn't want to talk about. So I think it was like quieted down, sort of. It was not like a big news. People knew about it, what happened. It wasn't when we came the other time there. A small girl died from some kind of a disease. We don't know what kind of disease. So it was two of those horrible tragedies in that camp, and it happened in some other camps. So some people knew about it, but it didn't make it to the news even.
Okay. Because that's a sort of thing that you would hope at least make some sort of difference or gives it attention. But okay, yeah.
No, I don't know. What I know of anyway.
No.
I didn't make, and I don't think they got any special help. What happened was that the father of one of the boys that drowned, he came from Germany a few days after, because he was already in Germany. So he came there. So that I don't know who arranged that, but And I don't know, the children were taken to Iraq to be buried there.
Okay.
And I don't know, I don't think anyone in the immediate family could go there, but of course they had relatives there. But I don't know the details of that.
Mm. And how much did you want to ask? I'm wondering because there's this very, very powerful interview with Yassir that kind of stands out a little bit in the form of the film.
Yeah.
When he talks about the death of their child. What were you thinking around making interviews? Did you want to or not want to make interviews, or were there specific things you didn't want to ask for specific information about things, or just talking more freely? Or
but you have to know, that's a little bit, you have to, but it's like I want to know things just to be better in making what we're making, sort of. I have to know some background and so on. Even if you become very tired of yourself, even because you ask questions all the time about things. And it's like, just don't ask so much. But then on the other hand, as the mission you give to yourself to do, you have to get some facts. And I was just, when it came down to what the fate of Yassir's family, I wanted to know more. So I was like, okay, we have to make an interview to get the whole, or not, but as much as a picture of what happened, what really happened. And when we do that, we should film it as well, even if I was not like sure it should be in the film. And we made some interviews with Nadia Nawaf, also both in Idomeni and in another camp. Just to sort of also to know what's going on, what's on your mind now, and so on. So it was a little bit part of the process. But I sort of knew, because Pia is such a fantastic photographer and was like the best I've been working with. And it was like, also she had such a connection to the kids and also to the adults, but especially to the kids. And I don't know, it was something that to let not build a film around interviews, but to make it more a film of course it's sort of observational, but I also wanted to make clear that we are there not to pretend we're not there, but on the other hand, it's also observational. So it's like, but if someone looks in the camera, I don't think it's not a problem, but so I wanted to keep that somehow, sometimes also, so it's not so. And I wanted to break the form because that can also be boring. So after a while, I was so affected by the interview with Yassir, both when we were there, but of course even more in a way when I got it translated and fully translated. So and I was like, okay, he has to tell this story, sort of. And it was sort of necessary to get that information to get to know him better, of course. And I sort of like somehow, I don't know who was like, I can't break the form and that suddenly have an interview and just one interview in the whole film and then not anything more and so on. But I thought that in the way we have the interview, to have it very long, not to edit, I think it's one cut in the interview, and that made it connect to the other form but still stick out somehow. So that was, yeah. So.
No, it didn't stick out that much. It's just it was very, very strong and had a big impact. So it's, yeah, I'm very glad you put it in and did it the way you did it. It works well. But I'm wondering.
I don't want to be dogmatic when it comes to form as well.
No, right.
So even if we work very much on the form, and I'm very sort of focused on that also and interested in that, but I think it connects to the perspective and attitude and how do you say how you approach people, and that's so much connected to that. So
yeah, your own presence.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dan has to decide rather than to be dogmatic. How you can't have that because of it breaks the form or something.
We're running out of time now already, so I'm just wondering if you, David, have any last comment or remark or something you would like to add to this that hasn't been said. For example, maybe about where we can follow the film or what's happening from now on with the film.
I don't know. In Sweden, I know that it will be screened.
You can say what you want.
Yeah, but about just say is the film will be screened a little bit in different places: Stockholm, Malmö, Lund, Umeå, I think, in Folkets Bio from the 23rd, around the 23rd, and then 25th of September. We don't know what happens with the film internationally. We hope it will get out. It hasn't happened yet, but we hope. We're working on it. And
if people have more questions, perhaps they can contact you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you so much for participating in this Q&A. And thanks to the audience for watching. And remember that there are a lot of other films you can watch, so check it out and tell your friends. And don't forget to vote for the Audience Award right after this. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, Elin.